Hello and welcome back to X-Plane. This is episode 7 of my Learning to Fly series, and you will notice we do not have the Cessna anymore. Because I'm going to be starting a series where I start flying around just for fun, just for sightseeing, I wanted something that could go a bit further than the Cessna and go a bit quicker, basically. Oh, hello, Mr. C-130 taking off in the background. I was not expecting that, but that is a very pleasant surprise. Off he goes. Look at that. This game, I say it in every single video, I swear, but it looks amazing. And off he is. Wow, he's beginning a turn very early. Anyways, right, like I was saying, I'm not in the Cessna. I needed something a bit more longer range, a little bit quicker, so that we could, you know, it doesn't take me 5 hours of in-game time to actually fly somewhere. So this is going to be one of the last episodes of the Learning to Fly before I begin that new series. And I've done some practicing, but not as much as I really need to in this aircraft. Obviously, with 2 engines, you've got 2 more sets of dials to worry about. And we've got a couple of different systems on this thing. Now, between this episode and the last, I have worked out what ADF is, what DME, and why there were some problems last time. But I'll wait till I'm up in the air, and then I'll go through those. But first things first, we need to plan out our route for today. So we are in Carlisle Airport, which is where we landed last time. We are going to be taking off from there. We're then going to be heading north up into the Scottish Highlands, or well, not necessarily the Highlands, but just north up into Scotland. We're going to hit this VOR TLA just here. We're then going to go across to Sierra Alpha Bravo, and then we're going to follow the coast along. You can't quite see it just because of the way the map renders. We're going to follow the coast around, and then we're going to come in for a landing at Edinburgh, which is Echo Golf Papa Hotel. And we're going to be coming in on runway 06 because they have the ILS here, which hopefully we should be able to use. So first things first, let's get these engines started. It's a little bit different compared to the Cessna, and for some reason I don't think you can hide the yoke, or at least I haven't found a way of doing it. But let's get the battery started, and then we're going to switch the magnetos to start. There we go. I've already adjusted the mixture because I had to move out of the way of that C-130 taxiing. I wasn't aware that he was going to start up. Okay, there we go. So left and right engines are on. Let's get the alternators running and give them a few RPMs just to check all the pressures and everything. Looking good. Let's settle in at around 1000 RPM. Awesome. Okay, so now that we've got our engines running, we need to sort out our flight plan. So we are going to go down one, and then we want TLA. Like so. And yet we want the VOR in the UK, and then we want SAB. Perfect. And then we are going to... we'll do the same as last time, we'll just pop the actual airport in there. There's Echo Golf. I thought it was Echo Golf November Papa. What was it? Hotel. There we go. Went a bit too far. That's fine. Hey? Echo Golf oh. There we go. Edinburgh. Right, so it's 123 miles. In this aircraft that shouldn't take too long, or at least as... yeah, it won't take as long as it would in the Cessna. So let's drop our revs back down, have a look at this aircraft from the outside. It does look very good. It's modelled quite well. And, oh, there's a C-90. Have you just landed, sir? No, it looks like he's just beginning takeoff. That's fine, because I need to get my frequency set anyway. So TLA is the first one. So that is 11380. Let's go inside. Now this is the nav panel in the Beechcraft. So 11380. And set that. It knows that it's the VOR, which is good. I then hit OBS, and then that changes our display here. It's a little bit different to the one in the Cessna, but basically the arrow points the direction of the VOR, and then this yellow line here shows us how far sort of left or right deviation we are. These GSs down the side, when we are hooked onto an ILS, so something with DME, which is distance measuring equipment, this will show us the altitude where we need to be lower or higher. And you'll see that later. I will be using this one down here, but yeah, I'll show you. And then for the next one, we need SAB frequency, which is 112.50. 11250. So that is ready to go, and we can just swap that when we get to TLA. Okay, what's going to be our best runway for takeoff? We'll do a short takeoff on runway 19, just behind that C90 by the looks. How are we doing? We're pretty clear, I think. Actually, that C90 might be rolling down to the end. So we'll see what he does, and we'll follow him. I'll bring you guys back because I'm not sure how long he's going to take off. So when he's gone and ready, I'll bring you guys back. And yeah, we'll continue our takeoff. Okay, there he goes, and he's skidding across the floor. What are you doing? Okay. The runway ends literally right in front of me. Did he crash? No, he did eventually take off, but I've not seen that takeoff path before. Okay. Let's, I'm gonna try and not do that, because I feel like that would be the safest option. I'm gonna line up and wait here, get the aircraft set up, and then we're gonna go. That's... okay. They've got a little bit of work to do on the AI by the looks. Now, we are directly in the wrong direction for this VOR, but I'm not really that bothered about it. I'm not going to taxi all the way down to the end and turn around. Okay, let's get some braking. Chuck the parking brake on. Let's get one notch of flap. Now, in this aircraft, we do have landing gear that you can pull up. Let me get my strobe light on. This is really hard to see. There we are. Yeah, we do have landing gear, retractable landing gear. So when we take off, I've got to remember that. And most importantly, when we come in for landing, I've got to remember that. Let's get our takeoff roll going. 100% throttle. Now this takes a little bit longer to take off than the Cessna does. There we go, there's 85. Let's rotate. And up we come. Positive climb. Let's get our landing gear up. And begin a left-hand turn over to the VOR. Like I mentioned on this display down here, we just have to get the... we need to be heading towards the yellow arrow. Alright, there we go. I'm going to bring us up to about 2,000 feet. Let's reduce the power now. And get rid of that notch of flap. And then I'm going to trim the nose up slightly. Okay, now the only thing I don't particularly like about this aircraft is your seating position. For me, it just seems rather low. So what I'm going to do is if I look up towards the top and move my view forwards, you can see quite a bit more out the front. Now obviously this isn't a realistic flying position because you would be sat down low so you can see all the instruments. You don't necessarily need to see out the front. For the purposes of the video, I am going to leave myself sort of up at this height. Just so we can see out a bit more. I can still see all the instruments and everything as I need to. But yeah, like I mentioned, I'm going to get up to about 2,000 feet. If there's anything that I see along the way that is very nice, that looks good, I will bring you guys back and let you have a look. But other than that, it's pretty much going to be it until we get to TLA, just down there. Okay, so I ended up climbing a bit further than I was expecting to. We're up at about 3.5, just because of the hills in the distance. Just thought I'd get myself climbed up now, because I may as well. The reason why I brought you guys back, there hasn't really been some awesome scenery, although I didn't necessarily look out that window. But yeah, I just wanted to explain a little bit about what I learned about DME, ADF, VORs, ILSs, all the acronyms basically. So DME, which is this display you can see just down here, is what's called distance measuring equipment. And as the name suggests, its purpose is to determine the distance between you and a fixed beacon on the ground. Now it sends out a couple of different radar pulses, and the timing between those pulses lets your aircraft know how far away you are from said station. So as you can see right now, it's using nav 1, which is what I have locked onto the VOR of TLA. So we are currently 19.6 nautical miles away from it. We are travelling at 150 knots towards it, and at that, if that speed was kept the same, we will be there in 8 minutes. That's the whole purpose of DME. You can do some fancy maths, well, not necessarily fancy, but you can do some maths and work out your position using a DME, but that's a bit advanced for what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to keep myself on this centre line as well. ADF is Automatic Direction Finder, and as again the name suggests, it points you in the direction of a certain beacon or tower. So if you've got an ADF and a DME, you've essentially got a VOR. You've got what you need to make a VOR. It shows you your distance away from it and your relative position. It just lets you navigate to that point on the ground. And that's essentially the principle of how ILSs work as well, from what I understand. Again, I'm not an expert, this is just what I've read up on and what I understand it by. So the way an ILS would work is the ADF part of the equipment would guide you into the runway directly, and then the DME would tell you your altitude and what you should be at, depending on how close you are to the runway. Like I said, that's what I understand by it. It might not be correct, but it seems to be backed up by quite a bit of evidence. So yeah, like I said, we are currently on the display down here, 15 miles away from TLA. I'm going to continue flying and bring you back if there's any interesting scenery. Okay, so we are just approaching TLA. There was some pretty nice mountains back there, which I should have slowed down and shown you. If I haven't, I'm sorry, because this bit coming up looks a little bit bleak, but that's fine. So we're about 2.2 miles away, and if you look down on the DME here, I'm not sure if you can see that, we're going to be there in about 1 minute. I'm a little bit far off to the left, so I'm going to make a slight turn. Not that it really matters this late coming up to it. I increase the altitude as well because these mountains are a bit high, or hills. They're not necessarily mountains, I guess. Right, so we have 1 mile to the VOR. I'm going to swap over to the next VOR now. So we're now going to SAB, and let's swap the navigational computer over. Reset everything, and as long as we turn now, we should already be on track. And look at that view. Hang on, let me get myself lined up. And let's get the autopilot set correctly. It's about there. I'm not quite sure how this autopilot works yet, so I'm just sort of fumbling around with it. Let's go autopilot on nav, and it should be doing the altitude as well. Let's have a look outside quickly. Yeah, look at that down there. Gorgeous. And there's me. Hello, me. I wonder if I adjust the controls from inside here. Oh my god, you can see it moving. Can I get a better viewpoint on this? If you have a look at the throttle, which is the black one here, you can see it changing. That is amazing. But anyway, onwards with the flight. Again, cool scenery. I'll show you guys along the way. Okay, so we are just about 8 miles out, just under now. We are coming in a bit quick, so I'm going to reduce my power slightly. I'm on the autopilot for the navigation and the altitude at this point. What I need to do, though, is get the ILS programmed for Edinburgh. It is 10890. 10890. I'm actually going to get both of these set because I've only ever done ILS landings on this type of display where you got the two bars next to each other. I haven't actually tried it on this one. I will give it a go, but have this as a backup just in case. Now I'd also like to mention, just before we get to this point, my channel has just hit over 1,000 views as of recording this video sort of right now. I just want to say a massive thanks from the bottom of my heart to everyone who's watched these videos, commented, liked. It's been fantastic, especially on the last video. That has really blown up for my channel. So I'm really happy. Like I said, I want to thank you very much. And yeah, that's pretty much it, really. Before going directly over to Edinburgh Airport, I'm going to take a little bit of a flight down the coast. I'm going to take control over the autopilot. And basically I just want to explore the coast, see what it has to offer. We're going to be flying in this little inlet. And then that should take us in over the city of Edinburgh. Where are we? We're about 3.5 away from it. I'm actually going to disengage the autopilot here now. There we go. And then swap over to the ILS frequencies. Like so. And then get that set. Now this here I believe means that we haven't actually got a signal from it. Which is perfectly fine because we're nowhere near the ILS side. So when we get over there I'm sure it will configure itself. So I decided to take a little bit of a shortcut across the little headland area here. I'm actually going to come in on the south side of the airport because I just want to see this airfield and see what it looks like.
November 02 X-ray, Papa, climb and maintain flight level 350.
Okay, that's not for me.
Flight level 350, November 02 X-ray, Papa.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to be coming in on the south of this runway and then we'll turn north to go for a landing. So it's going to be just off my right wing here. Let's go outside. I am still manually flying this, so might get a bit interesting. There it is. The tiny little municipal airport. Doesn't look like there's anything on the ground down there.
01 X-ray, Papa, climb and maintain flight level 280.
Up to flight level 280, November 01 X-ray, Papa.
And it looks like to me that hasn't properly been developed. It looks like a tiny little runway strip here, and then the rest of this is programmed as taxiways. We might have to land at that, at some point and have a look.
01 X-ray, Papa, climb and maintain flight level 280.
Up to flight level 280, November, 01 X-ray, Papa.
We might have to change our radio frequency as well, just so that we don't keep getting that those messages coming in. Let's swap over to that'll do 12150 because I believe that is the approach. Let's just double check. Details. 12120 is the approach. There we go. And I guess actually we could just monitor the tower on a second radio as well. The tower is 11870. Going the wrong way. There we go, 11870. My ILS is going in and out, which is absolutely fine because again I'm nowhere near it yet, but it's sort of picking up the transmissions. But yeah, I'll bring you guys back when we are established on the ILS landing for runway 06 at Edinburgh. Right, so just off in the distance I can see Edinburgh Airport, so we have visual approach or visual contact with it. A few of you might have noticed in the clips that I have this flap overspeed warning up in the top right corner. I'd just like to address that. Basically, as I was changing camera angles earlier, I accidentally hit the number 2 key, which by default on the default assignments drops the flaps by 1 notch. So that's why that's there. I don't actually have the flaps down now, they're back up, but for some reason the warning doesn't go away. So I'm hoping nothing's broken, but it could be, because we had failures before. I might decrease my airspeed before we get onto the approach. That might actually be a good idea. So let's do this now. Let's disengage the autopilot. Let's bring our airspeed down. Go down to about 130. Let's go flaps down 1 notch. Now obviously as a pilot you're not able to go outside, but I just want to have a look. To me... Whoa, hello. It took a bit of a dive to the left. I mean, it seems to be okay, but it is definitely pulling to the left. We might have a problem with our flaps. I don't want to go full flap at this speed. But yeah, we are most definitely pulling to the left. So let's bring those up. So I'm going to continue on and get established on the ILS for runway 06. I really feel like accidentally hitting those flaps open has degraded the performance of the aircraft somewhat. Might have damaged something. I'll have to check it on the next flight and just see how it flies. Right, there we are, and there is runway 06. So hopefully, at some point, my ILS stuff will start working, which it is now. Perfect. So we can see these 2 little yellow markers are the altitude that we need to be at. So we need to reduce our altitude. Let's bring our power down and start descending. And then this bar needs to be lined up with the arrow. So as I slow myself up, come on. Just need to get the altitude down, get the airspeed down, and all should be groovy. We're coming in for quite a steep dive, actually. I can imagine the people below me will be a bit scared. A 2,000 feet per minute dive. Okay, I'm going to begin turning towards the runway. I'm just going to make it a nice, long, slow turn. Right, we're starting to come back onto the altitude now. There we go, so our altitude is good. We've now just got to bring our horizontal direction back in. Let's just fly straight at this level. And we're starting to drop a bit too low. Now about 5 miles out at the moment, you can see from the DME equipment just in the bottom left corner of the screen now. I'm in two minds about whether to use the flaps or not. Alright, we're getting a gear up warning because of our speed. Let's just increase that. Right, we're just coming round. We're now lined up. We're still a little bit low. It's not a problem, that'll be because of the turn. I was losing altitude in the turn. Right, I'm going to go ahead and get my gear down now. And I'm going to try one notch of flap. You see how it dives the aircraft to the left? Yeah, let's get those flaps up. I'm going to have to do a high-speed landing. By the looks. I'm not comfortable with landing with the flaps the way they're responding like they are. Alright, I need to bring my altitude down and I'm off to the left a little bit. Try and not overcorrect. Use a bit of the rudder. Okay, we're looking pretty good. Tiny bit low. Just reminded me of the opening scene from Top Gun. There seems to be a load of aircraft waiting here. I hope they're not all waiting for me. Sorry, guys. Still a little bit off to the left. And now we're too high. Okay, we're looking good. Still a little bit off to the left. Coming in a lot quicker than I normally would. It's not too much of a problem. Power to idle. Ooh, bit of a bounce. And nose wheel down. Okay, let's get some brakes. Awesome, not too bad of a landing, I'd say, if I do say so myself, considering I had no flaps. Let's try and get myself oriented so that I can see the taxiways. I might have to roll out to the end, unless this is a taxiway just here. And I think they forgot to put the terminals on this airport, because I thought all these aircraft were waiting in a line on the taxiways, but no, they're just sitting on the ground at non-existent terminals by the looks. Alright, bring our speed down for the corner. And then we're just going to go and park over on this ramp to the right. Yeah, so all of this should be terminal buildings, but for some reason they're just not being modelled. Alright, now they're on the ground, let's just see if we can see any difference in the flaps. Chuck our parking brake on just here. I mean, one doesn't seem to be further down than the other. So I've got no idea why it was causing that violent dive to the left. If anybody knows, please do let me know. But that has been our first flight in the Beechcraft Baron 58, I believe its name is. Yep, Beechcraft Baron 58. I think it was quite a successful flight. We saw some good stuff. I explained a bit about VORs, DMEs, ADFs, etc, etc. I'm going to shut down the engines here, so let's just reduce the mixture to 0. Shut off our alternators. I'm not sure how we actually isolate the avionics in this thing, so we'll just kill the battery and shut everything down. I want to thank you very much for watching as per usual. If you have liked, then leave a like rating, and if you want to see more like this and some other stuff on my channel, you can always subscribe. Thanks very much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.